Hey folks, welcome back to Tent Outdoors. My name is Alan from season 10 of Alone. A couple weeks ago, my wife and I, Lisa, went back to my site on season 10 in northern Saskatchewan on the shores of Reindeer Lake. We flew up to Arctic Lodges, and Arctic Lodges was like base camp for the Alone production team when all the contestants were out in their sites. That's where the helicopter pilots stayed, that's where production stayed, some of the editors, the safety team. So they rented the lodge for like over 3 months. And that's where we all did our refeeding as well. So we flew up to Arctic Lodges. It's just an amazing place. Very different this time around as being like a guest at the lodge rather than a contestant on the show. And I highly recommend you guys going up there if you ever want a high-end, luxurious fishing adventure. Check out Arctic Lodges. Anyway, so we went up there and one of the guides took me out to my spot. I remember where it was, and they took my wife and I out there, and I was able to spend a night with my wife, 2 days in total, 1 day overnight, and I got to show her everything out there. I mean, she was there already when she picked me up on day 66, but she only saw a very small part of it, and it was covered in snow. But yeah, we fished, we camped, it was just a great time. So this video starts in Invermere. So we drove from Invermere to Saskatoon, where we flew up to Arctic Lodges, and goes from there. Check it out, hope you enjoy it. We made it to the Hampton. This is the hotel Wyatt and I stayed at, waiting for our flights back home, but we got stuck here for a couple extra days due to a severe winter storm. I am back. This is our most important piece of luggage.
Stop sending me pictures. No. Didn't bring my coffee stuff.
Hey.
Nice to see you again. This is pretty epic.
Hey, there
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. Last time I saw you, I was 180 pounds.
Yeah, I know. You're starving yourself. And
Yeah.
Right? And then the helicopter came,
finally good,
and the crew was leaving, right?
Yeah,
So it was pretty
I'm
epic.
super
Yeah.
excited.
Would have been.
Yeah.
I can.
So just over here in the background is where they lined us up at sunup right before launch. And we had to stay here for a couple hours getting all the perfect shots just as the sun was coming up because the light was perfect. Just down the beach here is where I launched to my spot a year and a half ago. What are you laughing at so much?
It just reminds me of we were filming for Alone. What was I saying?
All right, we're about to head out with Ethan. We're here at Arctic Lodges, and Ethan is just about to take my wife and I. Ethan, say hello.
Hey, hello.
Ethan is just about to take us out to my spot that I survived out there for 66 days on Alone, season 10. So we're heading back out there, pretty nervous, pretty excited. And my wife and I, Lisa, we're gonna spend the night out there, and I'm gonna show around the site, do some fishing, hopefully do a catch and cook, do a little hand lining. It's gonna be a good time. So we're off.
Let's go.
See you in a bit.
Thanks.
There's Andrea, the owner of Arctic Lodges. Wave to the camera, Andrea. Woo!
Season closes. It must be cold already.
it was starting to get cold at night, but there were warm days too.
Every spot is pretty.
Yeah.
We're off to our spot. Let's go.
It's exciting.
It's a little different this time around, eh?
Very different. Yeah, no.
I have a fishing rod. I got some food.
I've packed my 10 items.
I got a tent. My wife packed her 10 items.
One of them is a lunch for the day.
Nice.
Huh, that's my fishing rock over
Right
there.
there?
Yeah, right behind that island there. What do you want me to do, man?
Where do you want me to drop you
Right
off?
here, Ed. Here's perfect. This is where I got dropped off for the show.
Right on. That's it. Right on.
Hey.
Thank you, sir. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
3 o'clock.
Way different this time around.
See, Ethan?
I got food, I got fishing rods, I got a tent.
You got your wife?
I got my wife, and I know I'm getting picked up tomorrow at 3 o'clock. There goes Ethan. This spot here, I used to call Fraggle Rock, but it was actually underwater. The water level has dropped so much. There was a channel of water here, and when I did my first swim in my yellow undie pants, I think I went out to Fraggle Rock here. But yeah, and these logs right here, I used to sit here on these logs. I'd sit right on this rock and I'd clean my fish right here.
That's super
I'd sit here and clean the first few fish I caught. Looks like you can see some cut marks from when I was cutting their heads off on that logs. So this is where we just got dropped off, same as on the show, got dropped off right there. And yeah, this is the first kind of spot that I hung out at night. I'd have my fires here. You can see the trees are cut here. This is from the lone crew. They cut all the trees down so a helicopter could land here in case they needed to get here quickly. And it was about a week in. This is where I had the owl experience. I was standing like right here. I was getting ready to head back to my shelter to go to bed, and the owl was flying around me right here. And this tree is the one that he landed in right here. He landed in, I think it was this tree or maybe that branch, and where I got that really close up of that owl. Got all emotional because, you know, if you watch the show, you know that scene. It was a pretty emotional scene for me. But yeah, crazy. Here I am. If you remember me talking about the pike swamp, so the boat just took us in over there, and this was where I caught my first fish the very first night. I was standing right there on that rock, or maybe no, sorry, it was this rock. The water's gone down so much, I don't know if it'd be deep enough to fish here, but I called this the pike swamp. And over there, that rock is where I had my gill net. You can still see all the rocks there that I had holding my gill net down. And that's where I caught the duck in the gill net, right over there.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
super cool.
What do you think about being here, Lise?
Honestly, it's really overwhelming, and it's incredible to be back. I just love knowing that I landed there to come and get you that day, and really cool to see all the places and that you caught fish, or that you've all where you had all your experiences. I just can't wait to spend the night. I think we're so lucky.
So I just want to talk about what I used out here a little bit. See all this dried reindeer moss? They never showed any of that on the show, but every night after I'd cook my piece of fish, I wanted to really make sure my pot was clean and all the smell of fish, well, most of the smell of fish was gone. And I'd use this stuff here, which is just dead, dried reindeer moss. I'd break off a piece and I'd use it as a pot scrubber, and it worked really, really well. And then I'd just throw it in the water and it would wash away. Pretty cool.
Maybe we should bring some home and you could try that at home.
Hey! And this must be the rock tripe here that Melanie was eating, that I actually learned that from Melanie. I didn't know you could harvest and eat rock tripe, so now I do. Thanks, Melanie.
This stuff feels crunchier and harder than on your feet. It feels like it'd be
Yeah.
soft.
Yeah, it didn't make very good toilet paper, I'm just saying.
Ouch.
So let's do that. My outdoorsy wife has just identified and found
Blueberries.
some wild blueberries. They're not quite ripe. Are they
Maybe
good?
one.
Are they ripe?
They're okay. Just little tiny ones. Were they big? Way bigger than this when you were
Not
here?
too much bigger, but there were some bigger ones. Okay, remember that scene where I was dry heaving on those fish eggs I boiled? It was right here on this rock. Right here. This is where I was throwing up a little bit, and I'd caught the lake trout right there where my bags were. And it wasn't actually day one that lake trout I caught, it was actually day 3, because I'd caught 2 pike in the pike swamp over there before they showed that, but they showed that as my first scene catching and eating a fish. So this rock here, I spent a lot of time on this rock at the first couple weeks before I had built my permanent shelter. It's right, I was dropped off right there. And I liked it because it was a nice place to sit, and I had places to put things. And this is where I carved my lure that first night, and I caught a pike over there. But I remember the garbage that was here. I used 1 can from here to store my lures in, and I used 1 can. I smashed it down and polished it up and made a lure. But who knows how old these are? So I just found remnants of my first couple weeks here. This was kind of a spot I'd used to kind of use as my day use area until I figured out the lay of my land and built my permanent shelter. But you can see my old remnants. This is where I had fires for a couple weeks, and I'd cook my fish and make my tea. Yeah, still there. Okay, this is the spot right here, Lise.
I'm just trying to envision that we've just been dropped off, and I have to live out here for a long, long time, like just how I would be feeling, you know?
Yeah, totally. So this spot here, still matted down. It's still like kind of clear. This is where I had my temporary shelter for almost 2 weeks until I built my teepee. You can see the trees I cut there to kind of clear this area. See this rock? I remember this rock on my back, and I remember these big, like you can see how bumpy, and I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Irregular, really irregular surface, and my body just kind of got used to it because I had the ground sheet across here. But no, it was a perfect place. It was kind of out of the wind. I remember a martin woke me up one morning bouncing through the trees. I think he smelled fish I had hanging in the tree over there. But yeah, this was my temporary shelter. I slept under a tarp for, I think it was almost 2 weeks before I moved into my shelter. Yep, this is where I slept, right here. Check this out. I found my hanging hook. I used this to cook my food and boil my water for over 2 months. This very stick is just laying right beside my fire pit. Yeah, this was all underwater. That's the path I'd take back.
Your teepee was in behind here, right?
Up there.
Up there.
Yeah.
So I was standing like right over here somewhere, and I could just hear the murmurs.
Oh yeah.
And I had to wait there for quite
No,
a
I think
while.
you're probably standing closer. No.
But it was like completely frozen, wind blowing, snow blowing. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But I was so excited. It's like, I can just remember my heart pounding. Couldn't wait.
Crazy.
So where's the path up? Right
Right
there?
here. No, right behind you.
Oh,
So
cool.
what I'm looking at now are the trees. This was the path that Lisa came up to surprise me on my teepee. So yeah, she walked along this beach here, and she was waiting down here with another camera guy
Yeah.
while they were doing a fake med check for me. I had no idea she was here, I swear. And I'd almost like given up hope that the game would ever end at this point. It was day 66. I had fished till day maybe 68 to 70 if I pushed. And so Lisa was waiting here. They're interviewing me up there. That was where the famous Dorito comment came up, where I said, if you guys had a bag of Doritos right now, your life would be in danger. And right after that, Lisa snuck up and tapped me on the shoulder. And this was the trail that she walked up right there between those 2 birch trees.
In here.
Yep.
there it is. Oh, this is so crazy. Oh, this is so crazy. I love it. Wow, look at it.
Yeah, the trail is still like a year and a half later. You can even see the trail. I used to take up these rocks to get some berries, the low bush cranberry berries. But look, my trail is still like completely here.
Did you have to cut through stuff to make this?
A little bit. I did clear a little bit, but look at the trail, how wicked it is. And that clearing right there, you guys, that's where my teepee was.
Oh,
That's where my teepee was right there.
that's epic. So where did I meet you? Right up here between these two trees.
I was being interviewed right here. I was standing right here. Right here. And you snuck up behind me.
Yeah.
Right there. And there was where I spent, you know, 62, well, I spent 10 days in my shelter, so, you know, 56 nights in this teepee. You can see how many trees there are around, like how thick it is. So this was like a wind-free area. Here's my fire pit still there with my ashes and coals still in it. And all my poles have been placed in the bush. Yeah, this is it. It looks like identical. Nothing has changed except there's no, look, there's some paracord here still. Look, some white paracord that I used to put my cross beams on. Oh, this is wild. My fire pit. And I hauled a lot of sand up because the ground was just moss. I hauled up a ton of sand, like for a day. They didn't show any of it, but I lined the bottom of my fire pit with about probably 6 inches of sand because I was worried about starting a ground fire. Yeah, and then I layered rocks on top of it. But yeah, my fire pit's still here. Some paracord. Oh my gosh, this is some of my birch bark, some of my fire starter. Birch bark is still in there. Another piece of a Band-Aid. Huh. Oh my gosh, this is my firewood.
That's what I wondered. I actually wondered that.
Guys, I still got some of my firewood here that I split for nights in the teepee. We're gonna use this. Hey, look, and I have my emergency fire, like all my fire start stuff is still there too. What? Can't believe it. Huh.
How does it feel?
Feels pretty surreal. Feels good. Like it's all good memories, you know. Like,
yeah.
It's just cool that things have just been left untouched. Just they took down my teepee, obviously, but it's neat seeing my cut firewood still sitting here.
And we'll get to use your effort tonight.
Yeah, good idea. And that's my way. That's my path out. You can see the path is still like totally packed down, and that's to walk. So I
remember going that way to. Yeah. You showed me to go to the. I took you that way.
Yeah. Yeah. You can see all the trees I cut to make my teepee. Here's where they threw a lot of my logs in here in the teepee. I think I got really lucky finding this area because it could be the scariest, windiest storm, and it was virtually wind-free. It would all go above me, just over the top of my teepee, because I'm in this dish here. I'm so protected. Got really lucky finding this spot. You can see my trail. It's still completely padded down, right up here. Yeah. Look at that. It's like someone has just walked on here. They definitely haven't. I made this walk many times. Remember, I missed a grouse right in here one time too. Got a lot of fire. There was a bunch of dead standing trees in here. I'd cut firewood and I'd drag it back down there to make my night fire.
I remember us like almost running through this path with excitement.
Even though I was starving?
Yeah, even though you were starving, yeah.
I had enough energy to give Lisa a quick tour before we took off in the helicopter, because it was quite a wintry storm. The pilot, I remember, was quite nervous about getting out of here because snow was like blown in the turbine or something. This is our other little trail that I take to my day use area where my smoker was. So I wanted to show just how thick the bush is. Like as soon as you get off into the bush and you want to travel around, how thick it is.
And this marshmallow.
Yeah, and walking on the moss is like, you can't really track anything in it, and it's just, I don't know if everyone's site was like this, but just imagine trying to walk through here, you know, and it's like this everywhere. I think you're smelling Labrador tea, because we just walked through it. This is where I did a lot of squirrel hunting until I really realized how little meat was on a squirrel and the effort required to, you know, locate a squirrel, chase it down, get a shot, and then process it and cook it. There was like 4 little tiny chicken wings. So I stopped kind of hunting squirrels after I got 2, unless one like presented itself right in front of me, and I just totally focused on fishing.
Al's found some blueberries.
They're not quite ripe yet.
Not a ton of blueberries around, or berries in general around this site, that's for sure, but
I just found this here. See this thing, and I just realized what it is. When the lake froze, I had to, in order to get water, I had to chop a hole through the ice. And because the water was up to there when I was here, I wanted to keep that open because it froze like in minutes. It was starting to freeze already. So I covered it with branches. These are the old spruce branches I'd put over it, and then I'd put moss on top. Here's all the old moss that I harvested off my smoker to put on top of the hole in my ice. So for those over 2 weeks where it was so cold and frozen, I'd come down here to get water. I just had to move the moss and the branches, and my hole stayed open that entire time. So if you ever want to keep your ice fishing hole open, cover it with spruce boughs, a bunch of moss if you have, or just spruce boughs, and then you bury it all with snow, and that hole doesn't freeze up. And it's still sitting right here.
that's super cool. I love that.
My first cast in a pike swamp.
Awesome.
Got a little pike. I'm gonna release this guy. Not a bad size, eh?
That's awesome.
There he goes. You're free, my friend.
Woo! He said, yeah, I am.
Cast. I can't
Woo!
believe
Good
it.
job, Al. I, on the other hand, my first cast, I've got a snag, so I got to go deal with that.
My lure didn't look this pretty though. The one I made on the show.
Second fish of the day. He's a good little size, hey?
For this lake?
He's small.
I know on the show one of the complaints is they never show us really closely what the lures look like that the contestants are using. And so this is the lure. This isn't the same one, but it's very similar, almost identical to the first lure that I made out here. It's simply just a plug that I carved out of a piece of wood, cut on an angle, and I drilled a little hole here where I slipped my snare wire through and attached the hook. And this is like the inner sheath of a paracord, and I just tied it on to the wire, and then I added a bunch of wire here, and I burnt the top to give it that kind of look more like a minnow. And what's good about this style is you can add or remove the wire on it to give it like a neutral buoyancy, so it just barely sinks, so you can like twitch it along in the water. And this spool, funny enough, is the exact same spool that I brought with me out there. I remember this chip one time when I dropped it in the water, it broke off. I did put on a new 20-pound test because that line I had from the show was all nicked and wrecked, and who knows what sort of monster lurks down here in these waters. So I'm gonna be doing quite a bit of hand lining today. I'd really like to catch another fish with a hand line, and we'll see what happens. That's better.
Impressive. I don't think I could do that.
You're gonna try in a second.
Oh, goodnesses.
She's going for a hand cast session. What? She's a natural. Nice work, babe.
Al's building us a little lean-to shelter.
We're using the simple lean-to shelter. You'll see I have my ridge line. On this end, I have a simple marlin spike hitch to attach to the tree. On this end, we have the famous and very useful trucker's hitch. Here I have a series of prusik knots, and I'm just gonna attach the prusik loops onto the loops on the tarp and hold in place. My gill net poles are still on the beach. No gill net, of course, and all the knots and wire are taken off them, but here they are. Those are my gill net rocks right there. I had it in the, yeah, that's right, I remember now. I had the end of it wedged underneath there, and I stretched it out over these rocks, but this was all underwater, so.
Look how beautiful this is.
Alone 2024.
Pretty cool. Reindeer Lake. Day 1, 2 fish.
Not on a hand line though, and not with a homemade lure. Do you want to make out? Lisa enjoying some Mr. Noodles. Yeah, we're getting picked up at 3 o'clock. Any plans for tomorrow?
For me,
Yeah.
I'm hoping to catch a fish. I snagged a lot of rocks today, and I casted a million casts, but no fish. So tomorrow, I want to fish.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll talk to you guys in the morning. Have a good night. Whoa. This is one thing I never did have on the show was coffee, and I did miss it. It was replaced with Labrador tea, pine needle tea, and spruce needle tea. I just found something else brought back in memory. I looked down on the floor where my teepee was, and I found these 2 rocks. These 2 rocks was my Paiute deadfall trap. So this was my base. I think 14 or 15 mice met their end here, and this is the rock that I used. I'd have the Paiute set up on that rock, and I heard that noise a lot throughout the night. It was a little bit more muffled when there was a mouse in there, but man, crazy. It's just still sitting here. So the head of my bed was like right here. So I had my bed. I've got old firewood there. Huh. A lot of memories coming back here. So currently, folks, I'm standing in the exact spot I was standing as my wife Lisa snuck up behind me on that trail. Right behind the cameras where my teepee was, there's still just the remnants of the fire pit, and the cameraman was standing right about where my wife Lisa is now. And I was getting an interview. It was a fake med check. I had no idea Lisa was walking on the beach. So I need to reenact one little moment we had here. Now, just before Lisa snuck up behind me, I was talking to the cameraman about my food fantasies, and I talked a little bit about Doritos. I said, Doritos? Doritos. If one of you guys had a bag of Doritos, your lives would be in danger. So in honor of that moment, I must enjoy a bag of sweet chili heat Doritos. Come on. Had to be done. I think that this was one of the rocks that helped me get through day 50 to day 66. So I'd sit on the edge of my bed that was here, and I'd throw 3 rocks in the fire, and I'd take them out just when they're almost too hot to burn, or just before they'd burn my fingers. And then I'd let the fire burn out, and I would lay in my bed, and I'd put one of these on my chest and on my groin, and on a really cold night I'd put one on my feet as well. And 3 hours later I had to wake up and light a fire again and heat them up, and that would get me through till morning. These were super important to me making it to the end, super important. So my teepee site is just down there. You can see the remnants of all the places where I harvested moss for the teepee, all the way up here. Still hasn't grown back yet. A year and a half later. Definitely, unfortunately, you know, I did leave my mark on the landscape here. Something to consider, you know. My footsteps are still in the moss. You can see me where I walked up and down here a year and a half later. So I have a memory of this tree behind me. My teepee is just down there. When I was laying in my teepee in the morning, I could hear grouse flying by my teepee. And I'd come out, I'd wake up and I'd hunt them in my long johns with my bow. A lot of it I didn't film because I didn't get any of my camera equipment ready. And this tree right here, I knew a grouse or several grouse had landed up here. And I studied every tree. I picked every tree apart with my eyes. Obviously I probably needed my glasses on, but this tree here, I was this close to it and I had looked up and down this tree trying to find the grouse. As I got closer, not one, I'm not exaggerating, not two, there were 3 grouse in this tree that I didn't even see. That's how incredible the camouflage was, or how bad my eyes have gotten, one of the two. So folks, when I first got here, maybe the first week when I was exploring a site for permanent shelter, I found this really crazy spot. And I actually considered thinking about a way to make this into a permanent shelter. And then I couldn't find it again for a while, but I found it today with my wife again. I knew about where it was and I actually found it. I chickened out doing it, but I want to show you. And I'd like to hear what you guys think about what the shelter could offer. It's in a rock outcropping. And it goes way back in there and really flat on the bottom. And there's like a shelf down there as well where you could store stuff. It goes back quite a ways. And it's very, very flat here where someone could make a bed. So really, all you'd have to do in this spot is make a roof and a little trap door. And you could have a fire anywhere you wanted to. Easy in and out. Little step ladder here made of rocks. But yeah. And there's a really good spot for a fire back here too. It did remind me too much of a tomb. So we're going into the cave. So this spot here would be where I'd sleep. So my feet would be here, my head would be here. It's very flat. And you've got this whole nother room back here for like storage. Keep all your stuff in here, firewood, your bag. And you could basically have a fire anywhere. There's like all these natural chimneys. And it doesn't look like there's any cracks in the rock, but pretty wild spot. I chickened out though. And I don't know if production would have let me stay here in danger of, you know, rocks falling or this caving in or whatever. But who knows? Another weakness might be during heavy rains, you don't know where the water is going to come in or leak through, but it would definitely be worth worth checking out and exploring. Pretty cool.
Oh goodness! Oh my God! It's.
Go down to the very back.
Oh my God! There is another room. That would have been a great place for a fire right there.
Yeah.
It's cool down here too.
Yeah. So Lisa's last 2 retrieves, she's had about a big pike, probably 5 or 6 pounds, follow it right up to the shore and just take off at the last second. We're trying to get this guy. He keeps following it in, but not quite attacking. There he is. Did you see him? Mm-hmm. He's following right in. That's a different one. That's a small one. So across there, that's where I caught my first pike. That's basically where I got dropped off. And I caught my first fish fishing this little bay here. I call this area the pike swamp. And then we turn the camera around. This little piece here is where I set my first gill net set. And right here is where I caught my duck in the gill net. Right here I had it set. I moved it after a while because I wasn't getting any activity. And that point over there is, I went for a walk one night. They made a big deal out of it, but it was so windy I couldn't fish. But this little bay in here, where my finger's pointing, it's always wind free. It blocks all the wind coming off the lake. And I made a big hike around. But it was tough because the water was right up to the tree line. So I couldn't walk on the shore like Lisa Lisa and I can do now. So it was much tougher trek to get over there because that bush there, you can just see how thick it is trying to work your way through that. But we're just gonna pick our way along the shore, and whoa, Lisa found an old beer can. Like a ninja. I don't know. Giving this a lot of thought, but I don't want to. I have to. Hope I'm making the right decision. Hello, production. This is Alan, and I'm officially tapping out. I miss the cold beer, the great steaks, and the incredible hospitality at the Arctic Lodge. And you know, it's day 2, I know, but I'm just done. Okay, thanks.
Hello, production. This is Lisa Tenta, day 2, and I'm so proud of myself. I made it. I have to admit I was a little bit nervous in the dark at night, but I made it. Day 2. I've actually completed, and I'm the sole contestant left here after 2 days, and I feel like I've won. 2-day alone trip done. I'm officially leaving the island.
Our ride's coming. See him in the background there. It was a really incredible experience this last couple days. Words can't describe the emotions, and all good emotions. It reminded me of some hard times I had out there too, but man, to be able to share this experience with my wife and just walk around shore, all the sights and all the things I did, where everything happened, it was just an unbelievable experience, and I highly recommend it to other lone contestants. Take your wife or special person out to your spot and show them around if you can. Thanks, guys. It's so smoky. We're just on our way back from the Arctic Lodge. It's so smoky. It looks like Mordor. And we're going to Mount Dew.
Oh, is that a cat or a dog?
Where?
Oh, it's a cat, isn't it?
Cat.
Oh, that was incredible. How lucky are we?
That count up. Close to 70 now.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Oh, everything we wanted it to be. Yeah, super cool. The one thing that we talked about for sure was don't compromise your health. Like this is not worth it. And so I had a lot of faith in that was our conversation, and knowing Al and kind of, you know, that way. So was I worried? Like people say, were you so worried? I know I wasn't, because like he, you know, he would make good decisions and he wouldn't compromise his health, and we were good. Like, you know what I mean? Like I think one of the other positives and strengths maybe too is that we have older kids. If you notice that any of the other contestants, when you have small kids or a wife that's pregnant, or there's a little bit more maybe to worry about or miss. Not that I'm not amazing and he shouldn't have missed me those entire every minute that he was away. But